Hey there, thank you so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and also the School of SweetGeorgia. And we come here every Friday to talk about something to do with the fiber arts, whether it's knitting or spinning or weaving or dyeing or crochet today. Today, I want to catch up and talk about some of the things that I've been working on recently. This being National Crochet Month, when in the month of March we celebrate crochet, or we talk a little bit more about crochet, or we're learning a little bit more about crochet. In this month, I want to share with you some of the things that I've been working on. So the first thing being that a couple of months ago, I finished making this cardigan. This is the Jethro cardigan. It is all made up of granny squares. I made these with DK weight mini skeins, and then it was finished with knitting. So there's ribbing in the knitting and stockinette sleeves in knitting, and I did all of those on my LK150 knitting machine. And so I have been for a while making these squares as well. So these are smaller sized granny squares that are not like classic granny squares. There's a little bit of a difference to them. You can see there's a little bit of a flower pattern in the middle. And so these ones, I believe they were called summer garden squares. And I got this off of a website called Attic 24 years ago, because I had started making all of these little baby granny squares because I was going to make a little baby blanket, a baby crochet blanket. And you may or may not know that my youngest baby is turning 9 this weekend. And so she's not a baby anymore. She does not need a baby blanket. And so I thought, since I have like 80 of these squares, I decided to join them all and make a Jethro cardigan for my daughter. And so this is like a mini version of what will be my sweater. So a mini Jethro. The colors are very different. The colors are much brighter, more springy, more summery kind of colors and things like that. Some of these are older colors that are discontinued, but these are all colors that I have been holding on to in my stash for some time now. And so I had the back piece done, and I have the 2 front pieces done. And so these ones, I have just blocked them yesterday. They're not 100% dry yet. Maybe by this afternoon they might be fully dry. And then I'll hang them on the knitting machine and finish with the sleeves and the ribbing just the same way as I finished this cardigan. But these are, yeah, really great, really fun. 1, 2, 3, 3 round granny squares, as opposed to these ones were 5 round granny squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then plus the white border. So these squares are significantly smaller, but it's sort of the same number of squares. So I made them 5 long, and yeah, those are the 2 front pieces, and this is the back piece, and it will be ready to go very soon. And hopefully I'll have this project done before the end of the weekend, and it'll be like my daughter's birthday present if it can be done in time. So that has been going on. Because I enjoyed making this sweater so much and playing with the granny squares so much, we were talking a lot at the studio about, well, what else can we do with granny squares? What else can we do? And could we make them in a way that's not necessarily square? And so our resident crochet expert, Charlotte Lee, at the studio at SweetGeorgia, she came up with this fabulous pattern for a crochet shawl. So these are top-down crochet shawls. We're calling it Coast to Color. And you can see some of the colors are very similar to the colors that I'm wearing in the Jethro. This is from the Blazing Trails pack that we have. It's a party of 5 mini skein set, all with DK weight yarn. And the colors are in a colorway called Blazing Trails. And so there's 5 different colors here, and she's just sort of alternated between all of the colors in a cycle. But the whole idea here is that this is a top-down triangle shawl where you start in the middle right here, and then you are gradually increasing and increasing and increasing, and making a bigger and bigger and bigger triangle. And so rather than going all the way around to make a square motif, we're just going back and forth around half of that square to make a triangle. And so I'm going to do a little demonstration of the actual stitch that Charlotte's written in the pattern. The pattern is available on our shop site, so you can go to shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com and you can look for it there. But I'll show you how it all works. And it's very simple. By the end of a couple of setup rows, you'll end up with one row that you just repeat over and over and over again, making it actually hopefully very simple to remember. Yeah, they should work up pretty quick. So there's one version that's this colorway, that's DK weight. There is this version, also DK weight. This one is a little bit smaller, of course, because it's a top-down triangle. You can just keep going until you run out of yarn. You can make this triangle as big as you like, however you want to wear it, you know, if you want to wear it as a shawl or as a shawlette or however. So there's another colorway. That's again a striped version. And then Charlotte made another version. This is the one with the fruit salad colorway. And so this one, you can see she's chosen to do a bigger chunk of the first color and then alternate between the second and the first color, just kind of like blending them a little bit and then moving on into the next color and the next color and the next color. So you can see how she's kind of like blended some of those colors together into almost a gradient, almost a fade. But again, this is DK weight yarn, which means it works up really, really quick and easy. So that's that one. And then finally, this is fun. She also used the same pattern, the same everything to make a gradient version using a gradient dyed sock blank. So this is a single sock blank. It's the frozen blueberry colorway. And yeah, you can see the tiniest little, the start is here, and you just keep crocheting with this entire sock blank until you run out of yarn. And so I was really, really inspired by this particular one. And so I have a sock blank from the September Secret Stash Club that we do. It's a monthly subscription-based club where we send out a new colorway every month for yarn. And then we have a new color for fiber every quarter. And so this is my single sock blank. In the color was called Riverfront. And so this is what I have been using. And I started a little shawl as well. And I'm not even unraveling the sock blank. I'm just working straight from the sock blank. And then once this is all done, then I can just block it out and it will become a lot looser and drapier and all sorts of things like that. So that is what I have been working on. I tried to work on this the other night while I was in the Multi-Craftual meetup that we do. It's a Monday evening and we meet up on Zoom and everybody shares their projects and we just kind of chat and hang out for a bit. And I was trying to work on this project at the same time and made a bunch of mistakes on the edges. So I might have to rip a couple of rows and then restart. But, you know, it was nighttime, it was dark, and then I really couldn't see too clearly what I was doing. But for the most part, it's actually a very, very easy pattern to remember because you're basically just working granny square segments, and then you work a corner of a granny square segment, and then you work more granny square segments. And the only tricky part is turning the border, like the edges, right? This top line, turning that edge is just the trickiest part. That's the only part that you need to remember. Now, the other thing is that you can see there are two shawls here. This one, the Blazing Trails one, has the border is just a regular border. It's just regular double crochets, and then you just bind off. So this is just regular double crochets for that border. But Charlotte has designed another kind of border here, and that has a bit more of a scalloped lacy edge to it. This is really nice for like if you were doing a baby blanket, this would be really cute. But it's called the bobble stitch border that she's created here. And so I'll show you how that one works as well. So cute. So she's done that bobble stitch border on this shawl and also the fingering weight version. So you can see that right there. So those look really lovely. Now, one more thing is I have been experimenting with these tension rings. This is like a little ring. It's like a little ring that you wear and you put your yarn through the ring, and it's supposed to hold your tension nice and even as you crochet rather than having to tension it through your fingers. I'm not 100% sold on this idea yet, so I'm giving it a try to see how it works. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback on tension rings for knitting or crochet. Does this work for you? Have you used this? Just looking for ways of adjusting your technique so that you're putting less strain on your hands. And I know that we have talked before with all of the knitting videos about when you have your yarn sort of tension through your fingers, there's a lot of gripping or holding, and there can be added tension. Maybe you don't even realize it, but there's more tension on your hand, holding all of that yarn in place. And so if you're using something like a tension ring, maybe that takes away the need to wind the yarn through your fingers. But at the same time, by relying on another device, I feel like I'm losing control over being able to adjust the tension myself. And so this is, definitely something I am experimenting with. It's very cute. My daughter saw it and immediately was like, I want that. So we will see how this goes. So that is basically it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this little session about crochet, about working with a granny square pattern, not as a square, but as a triangle, top-down triangle. And let me know if you also made a Jethro cardigan, if you are as obsessed with granny squares as I am, and what else you've made with a granny square that you think would be fun to try. I am definitely looking for more projects to work on with crochet because I have a couple of long travel sessions planned. I'm going to be spending about 5 hours in the car twice, so about 10 hours in the car. And so I need kind of like a project to work on while I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a car for 10 hours. So if you have any suggestions, I am listening, absolutely listening. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you in the next one. All right, bye for now.